Welcome to the Market My STR Show, the show made exclusively for short-term rental owners and co-hosts that actually works, so you can stop wasting time and money on short-term rental and co-hosting marketing strategies that don't work. Listen in for tips, tricks, and our book solid, move the needle, and core 4 marketing strategies. Here's your host, Scott Hill.
All right, welcome to episode 12 of the Market My STR Show. We did not get a episode done last week if we're talking about consecutive weeks, so we'll just have to keep rolling with that. We're on episode 12, so that's what we're just going to accentuate the positive today, Jeremy.
Yep, making up for it now.
Okay, so for this week's episode, what we try to do, our agenda is talk about Market My STR. This podcast is for anybody who hosts short-term rentals or manages short-term rentals, owns short-term rentals. And then in between, because Jeremy and I are building a co-hosting company too called Altver, that we try to share with how we're growing this business, which is right from scratch right now. So this is where we're at. So what I first want to do, Jeremy, is because Market My STR has had a massive launch of our 100 Game Changers this past week. After much delay, after wishing it was be launched earlier, that we finally launched it. So going forward, we're going to be publishing 2 what we call STR Game Changers every week, and we're going to go through them at the beginning and end of every episode. So today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite game changers, the exclusive offer game changer, our game changer number 7. So Jeremy, what happens when you host property? You host properties. I know you do that. You own and host. What happens if you have a last minute cancellation? Let's say the cancellation happens today and they were supposed to be checking in 2 weeks from now. What do you do to try to get that property or that time block filled with a new guest?
Well, the beauty of me being partnered with you is I'm able to hand off the marketing side because in full transparency, that was probably my weakest link as an operator. But for me, it's checking the comps and cutting price to a point where I think I can get it booked. It also depends on the market. Poconos, I can get something booked again the same day. Like that's how short the lead time is. In 30A, it's going to be a different story, especially with bigger properties. Most likely it's a price reduction game.
So I have obviously heard, being in the business I'm in, that people build lists. You have former guests, and a lot of people will try to email those people with some sort of an offer. They will say,
which
via
I would
email,
do. Right.
Which is what you would do.
I would use my StayFi guest, and every once in a while fire out an email. It wasn't consistent, but I would fire out an email. And also I wasn't tagging them, so I might have also been emailing bad guests, which is another thing that...
Right, which brings us to this awesome game changer, which is if you were going to email your list to try to alert them that there was a last-minute cancellation, you obviously would probably be making it worth their while by some form of aggressive discount, right?
100%. Yep.
Okay, so how would you email your list? How did you email your list?
Say that again. How would I do it?
How would you do it?
I would set up a trigger through Market My STR, and it would probably go out to everybody on my list.
Yep.
And it would have a coupon code, discount code that would work, now through the weekend, essentially, for those days.
What if, Jeremy, Market My STR launched a strategy, which we've just done, called our exclusive offer strategy. It's game changer number 7. What if you could group your entire list into groups of 50 to 100, and then there is a workflow, a pre-built strategy workflow that would allow you to create your offer, either text, email, or both, start the offer, and by group of 50, it would send the offer to 50 of your list, and then it would wait 30 minutes, and then it would send to the next 50 on your list. And here's what exactly happened. When we released this offer last week, the first subscriber who did it implemented the offer, and he commented on a Facebook post 15 minutes later saying, "I got my first booking."
Love it.
So here's the reality of what the offer can do. 2 things happen, I believe, and what I've learned over time is, number 1, if you send that entire list an exclusive offer, and let's say you have a list of 1,000 and 11 people want to book, one person's happy, 10 people are mad at you, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So number 1, because you can't control and you can't drip in groups, what you can now do in Market My STR, you now save all the bullets in your gun. You keep everybody happy with you because what this workflow and strategy does, it says, and you know this being a host, when you get a booking, you get a notification that you got a booking on a property, right? And it's going to show you the dates of that booking. That's going to alert you that you've got to turn off that workflow so that nobody else gets those emails from you, right?
Right.
That's the beauty of it. And it just
Yeah.
turns it off where you left off. So imagine this. Number one, nobody else is going to be mad at you because nobody's going to get an email, get excited about going to your property and know it's been booked because you just told them it wasn't booked, but now it's booked. That's a problem. Number one.
No, absolutely.
Number two, here's the other thing it's going to prevent. Every time you send an email out to your entire list and everybody clicks on it and they find that they can't book because someone got to it first, you are progressively teaching everybody on your list to not pay attention to your emails anymore.
It's not worth it.
Why? Because Jeremy sends emails that I can't take advantage of. So now I don't believe him when he says there's an offer, and I'm going to be less likely to look at the email.
It's gonna get moved to spam.
It's going to get moved to spam in their eyes. Maybe not in your eyes, but that's what's going to happen. And that's the beauty of what this strategy does.
Yeah.
Now, think of this. If you want to give everybody a chance, when you send that first offer that we just talked about, and let's say the first 50 go out, no one books, and the second 50, someone books, and you've got a list of 1,500 people. There's now, 1,400 people that did not get that email. And because you turned off that workflow at 100, the next time you want to send an offer, you can do one of two things. You'll go in and you'll edit the email copy so it has the new offer. But when you turn it back on, guess what? It starts with 150. And so now everybody keeps getting a chance because it just picks up where you left off.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I think it sounds super powerful. I think we're going to be in a place where we're going to have an engaged audience at some point. And when you have an engaged audience, that's going to be the reality, right? They're going to pay attention to the stuff that you send. And I think you're 100% right. If they keep getting offers emailed to them or texted to them, and every time they're like, yeah, this would be great, let's do it, and then they're paying full price because that offer doesn't exist, I would stop looking. Yeah.
We love this offer. We're really proud of it, but it's short-term rental owner specific and host specific. So that's game changer number 7. All right. So now let's get into the meat of our podcast episode, which is last week I was down in our market, but the week prior we prepared. Let's talk about what we did to prepare. I'll let you do that. I'll talk about what I was able to accomplish in the market, and then let's talk about what happened the week after I got back.
Yeah, for sure. I think, overall, it sounds like you had a really productive and powerful week. I think, we had a good end to the week as well. My list of responsibilities, I think, was a little bit less than yours in terms of prep to get ready for the trip. But essentially, I had talked about it on I think it was the prior call. I was building out a list of targeted properties that we wanted to go after, where you were going to stop by each one and do a quick video selfie in front of their property with a script, a little bit of a generic script that I was going to give you. And we're going to send those out to each one of those owners and see if we can get in contact with them and start the process of telling them who we are. So I put that together and then took it one more step where I was thinking about, well, I got to give this all to you in a form so you're not killing yourself trying to get from house to house because you're there for a week, but you really have limited time. You're there with your whole family. So I ended up asking ChatGPT. I basically said, I have a Google Doc with a list of different Airbnb and VRBO listings, the address and different attributes for it. Scott is currently in the market. He's going to drive to each one. He's going to do a video in front. Can you put together a Google Maps for him for the most efficient paths from west to east? And it essentially added 2 more tabs to my Google sheet, gave a list that was from first stop to last stop. So it's easy for you to reference. And then it was 3 links, Google Maps links. Each one, the first 2 had 10 stops and the last one had 6 because there was 26 properties. And it sounds like it worked out the way I was hoping. You were able to hit go and cruise through each property. So
it was unbelievable. Now, if you're following along on this podcast, you're like, what did he just say? I felt very similar to what you may be feeling if you're listening, but I can tell you, after having him you might want to just rewind this and listen again, because after Jeremy explained it to me again, I did exactly what he told me, and I covered 26 homes. I drove from one home to the other, and I bet you it took me 90 minutes, including the recording. Now, what I didn't do, Jeremy, I don't know if you've seen any of them, but I sat in my car and did them. I didn't feel comfortable enough to
I
get
didn't look
out
at it.
and almost
Yeah.
like, so I drove up right in front of the house. I actually made sure I either like looked one way or the other way, depending on where my car was, so they could see
Yeah.
their house in the background.
Yeah.
And I just
Sure.
stayed in my car, and I did that. And I don't know if other people maybe are just so like, not, they don't ever get embarrassed, but I just, it was a little self-conscious about doing it. So I'm like,
Sure.
if I'm in the
Yeah. Yeah.
privacy of my car, I'll be more natural. And that's exactly what happened. I put the phone out and I talked,
Nice.
and you could see the property in the background, and I just said, hey, and I introduced myself to the owner,
Great.
and man, what a
Yeah.
process. It was brilliant.
Hey, I was in the area. We noticed a couple
Yep.
of things that might be hurting your listing and, how it's performing, and decided to swing by and shoot you this video. I think it's going to turn out great for us. We just got to get them out there, which hopefully that'll be, start sending them out this week.
Yeah, and I think one of the what we hope to be one of the real reinforcements for people that we are going to live in this market. When we mean live, we mean have boots on the ground, have a
Yeah.
consistent presence, be down there a lot. No, we're not going to have a home down there full time, but we are going to be the kind of co-host that we all know can kill it, even if they don't live in the
Right.
market.
And I will say, we say you don't have to be local to be a co-host, and I believe that truly, but I do also think there is an advantage to having local boots on the ground that aren't just vendors or contractors. So at some point in our growth, the goal will be to bring on full-time people. It's
Yeah,
not going to be a ton,
absolutely.
right? But it's going to be a handful of people that can do specific jobs that are really needed for us. So we'll get there.
Which kind of, is the reason why we've chosen to be a boutique, not too small, not too big, right in the middle. And we know what our plan is so that we can have a staff of right size staff of people to deliver 5-star experiences.
And to do that, we are going to have to stick to our guns as we're building this business in terms of what other properties we bring on, right?
Yeah.
Because we are limiting to how many properties. They have to be able to produce enough income for us to build that.
So here's what happened during the week while I was there. I got down there on Saturday night. Sunday morning, my daughter and I went to like 3 or 4 open houses and met some people, and actually just shared a 30A luxury property analysis with a lady that we saw at one of the open houses. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story, Jeremy. I walked into this house. This is a $4 million property. It's not exactly 4 million, but I don't want to give this property away.
Sure. Yep.
So the listing agent was in the property for this open house, and I walk into this house. Dude, this is a $4 million property. Spectacular outdoor kitchen, outdoor pool, right across. Probably dead center, ground zero of one of the best locations in all of 38. It's very close to where Water Sound is, which, if everybody knows these, is in the middle. You know what I mean? Where you can get both places. Everywhere, great. You can get to Seaside, great. You can get to Rosemary, same thing. So we walk in and we start talking to this lady, and we say, how much in rental income did this? And I don't want to give too many details, but she said about 100. I'm like, what?
Okay.
So I said to her,
Problem.
I said, I think this property can do 300. And she was like, no way, it can do 300. No way. And I just sent her something today right around that number, and I think she's going to choke on it. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's going to be like, there's no way. But that's what this market needs. This market needs to have someone come in and actually think about and try to achieve greatness instead of just looking for average.
Right. And there are some people down there that are doing that, right? I found some listings where I'm like, oh, this is spot on. They've got a lot of bookings. Like, they're doing a really great job.
Yeah.
But there are a lot that, are quote unquote lazy. I think the property that we're going to maybe talk about, because we just did another analysis. I just quickly did some comp sets to confirm the number. But if you look at the Airbnb listing, it's horrible for that property.
Yeah.
Like, it's, the photos are fine because they're professional photos, but the listing description, the captions, everything is just terrible. They don't care. Right?
So we went to open houses on Monday and Tuesday. Then I started doing content, and I started driving around for B-roll, like beach scenes and things like that, so we could use this in some of our videos instead of not having market videos to use. So with that, you and I have looked at that. That's decent.
We'll
We
be able
might
to
be
use
able
some of
to
it here or
use
there. Yeah.
some of it. And then what I did towards the end is I started doing all of the content. I spent the week before doing scripts and then I started videotaping so I would have this content in the market, on the beach, in the communities. And I've got 30 content scripts recorded, of which my editing team is starting to turn those raw videos into publishable content. So I can't think of anything else I did. I met with 2 more agents. Like, I had coffee with 2 more agents, and then I had a birthday breakfast with Joe Roney. It was his birthday. His wife came. At John Arroyo at Donut Hole. Was fantastic birthday breakfast. Those 2 guys, if you guys are listening, I would look John Arroyo and I would look up Joe Roney, as if you're looking to buy a property or sell a property in 30A, I would use Joe Roney. He is, man, he's a fantastic guy. Anyway, that leads
Also,
us.
if you're looking for management co-hosting in Panama City Beach.
Well, he's actually said he's almost tapped out, and unless you're beachfront property, he said he's almost tapped out. So, what I would suggest is if you do, call us and we can put you in contact with Joe if you're a beachfront property along the Panama City Beach area, either west or east of Panama City Beach, Forgotten Coast area. So, all right. So that leads us into what happened after the week. And what I think happened after the week, most importantly, is because of that investment of time and energy that we made, we got a referral, and we had our first call with who potentially will be an owner on 30A. And
he doesn't own yet, but he has plans to buy in this market, and he's actively putting in offers.
And we had our first official intro call, right? So thought that went fantastic. Maybe you can summarize what happened in that intro call.
Yeah, I think it was great. You kicked it off by getting to know him a little bit more with some questions as to, like, what is he looking for? What's his past experience with short-term rentals? Does he have a full-time job? Like, what's kind of his really plan or thoughts behind getting into short-term rentals? Which was super valuable for the rest of the conversation, where we went into what is the difference between a co-host and a property manager, and then what are all the things that we do as a co-host, and then of course what's our fee and how does that work, because that's always a big question. But what was really valuable was he told us, I work full time at this job, but in 4 or 5 years, I'm planning to buy 1 property a year, and in 4 or 5 years, I'd like to have about 5 properties that I can then manage myself. And I was like, ding, 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 perfect. That's ideal for co-hosting, because you can take that listing with you after 5 years of good reviews being built up. You're not gonna miss a beat, versus his property manager that he has for a property in another spot owns that listing. In 5 years, he's starting over. So I think that was a big plus for us in that conversation.
I think it went so well at the beginning because it sets you up to not put your foot in your mouth ever. Because things like, tell us about your real estate experience. And he told us he had a property already in one of the coastal towns along the Northeast. And then he said that guy's killing it. Remember, he was like, but he's a full-fledged property manager. And he went in and gave us information. So when I turned it over to you, you just got to I hope they all go that way. And I really think what happened was, if you could read him at the beginning, and this is how I was reading him, he wasn't really participating in the conversation. It was no, yes, no.
It might just be him, right? Could just be the way he is, or it took him a little bit to warm up, but he did start asking questions after we really got into it.
The way you warm up, the reason you warm up is because you get asked questions about yourself, like, who's your family? Like, we asked him all that stuff. He had kids, and when you do that, I think you can take anybody from closed-minded, like, oh, here we go, the salespeople and trying to sell me, into more of a humanistic conversation. And I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought it went really well. I think, I do think we crushed it. Again, this was just a phone call. We didn't have anything presenting, right? I did put together a revenue estimate that it would probably be a little bit longer, than we would do for somebody that we weren't having a call with. But there will be other calls where we're going to have to present documentation. I've been talking about getting that stuff together, and I'm close to being done, so that we can have that on those calls where they want to see certain things. So,
Well, you bring up an interesting point. He actually asked for it. Remember, he said, "I want to see this. I want to see this. I
yeah,
want to see that." So you
right.
you almost had to do it. I think what we did
Right.
do
That
is
was stuff I sent to him beforehand. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's, you and I talked about this afterwards on our like post-mortem about the meeting, was we wanted to keep a few bullets in our gun. And I think those are the things that you would keep in your gun. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you would be able to go back. You kind of had to give them to him. We did that. Number one, it was our first rodeo together.
Yep.
Number two, because he asked us to. But number three, the other thing that you kind of brought up that I just wanted to reinforce was our attempt is to close people into a client on our first call, but this was not possible in this
Right.
case. Like he hasn't even made an offer on the property, but because our referral said, "Can you talk to him tomorrow?" We actually talked to him on a Sunday afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and we said yes because we're very aggressive in wanting to get our first client, that we accommodated him, and it was
Right.
such short notice that I think in future cases where someone already owns, I think it's going to go very smoothly.
Yeah.
So,
And I think the things he asked for are totally fair, right? He wanted, what do you think this home, if I bought it, would make over the course of the year, and then the monthly breakout, right? What do I
yeah.
think it would make per month? So I put that together, and then he wanted to know what our listings were. I sent him 2 of the case studies that we have, that show how we performed in the Poconos, and went through those. So, um, I think that helped, right, to show our experience.
And I think I
Um,
know what your opinion is of this, but for me, if I'm grading him on a type of client I want, I would put him in the A category. And it's because all the things that, we've had Bill teach us and you've learned over time, which is the big thing that stood out for me was he said, "My property manager does everything and I do
yeah,
nothing."
yeah,
So
100%. Yep.
how would you grade him as a
Oh, I
potential
felt
client?
I felt the same way, right?
Okay.
He would be, and that was one of the things I told him, was like, right, you'll have ownership of these listings. We will handle 100% of everything for you. And if you want to turn off the notifications, because it's just not something you want to be dealing with at this point, in your life, you do a few years down the road, you can just turn them off, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he seemed to be on board with that. And then just to talk about how that we got this, um, how he was recommended to us, right? Obviously, it's through somebody that you've been building a personal relationship with, I've connected with. And I think also just adds to the fact that he's seeing the Facebook ads that we're
Yep.
doing. He knows we're serious about
Yep.
getting into this. So I think the combination of those two things really put us, on the radar for him. And obviously you're doing the guides as well, and he's going to be on one of those. So,
Yeah. All
providing
right.
value.
So that's kind of our summary of what happened on our trip down to the market. Now, last thing, I told you there'll be another game changer at the end of this episode. Jeremy, let's talk about our game changer number one. I probably have put this as our number one game changer just because it's my favorite. I
Okay.
love the psychology of this game changer, and it's called the welcome video. And I
Yeah.
want to know what you think about the welcome video.
Well, it's definitely something we're going to be doing,
Yeah.
which is a little harder with Airbnb changing
Yeah.
how they do phone numbers. So we're going to work around that a little bit. But I think it's not common for guests to get a welcome video from their host. I think it brings down walls and builds confidence in your host, and probably gives a little leeway if something does slip through. They're probably less likely when they're there to be like, okay, well, now let me go see what else is going on, right? It's going to be more of, it's all right, it's Scott. Like, that's fine, right? Everything else is perfect. So
And
I love it. I think it's great.
credit where credit's due. When Bill Faith and I teamed up to start Market My STR and design it so it had and has these customized strategies for short-term rental owners, hosts, and managers. When he told me about this video, I was floored. I'm still floored by it. Bill deserves full credit. But
Yep.
just if you haven't, if those of you listening have never heard of the welcome video, I want to explain it to you in a bit of detail so that you really understand the power of it, like I think I do. And I can't wait to use it when we're a co-host for our Alt Ver clients. And The welcome video is a video that you send to a booker who has just booked the property. This isn't a welcome video for when they check in. Yeah,
Right.
maybe you should do that too. The science, the psychology, the brilliance of this video happens right when the person books for, I've counted 4 reasons, and I want to see if I can remember all 4 reasons. I can remember 3 exactly. Reason number one, you start a relationship. If I,
Mhm.
when you do this video, Bill, here's how Bill teaches it. You simply, minutes to an hour or so after the booking, you record a video on your phone that says, "Hey, Jeremy, it's Scott. Scott, Bridget, and my family, we own this property, or we co-host this property. We cannot wait to host you, Jeremy, and your family. You are going to have an exceptional time. But here's a couple things you are going to want to do. But I know it's a bit, a bit of time before you're going to check in. But I just wanted to introduce you, myself and my family, and say we cannot wait to host you, and we look forward to giving you a 5-star experience." End of
Yep.
video, right? You feel very differently about this property than you did 10 minutes ago after you get this video, because now you know somebody. Now it's not just some
Personal.
faceless manager you don't
Right.
know. So that's number one, starts a relationship. Number two, you have had to have found this where you have had cancellations. People book and then cancel immediately. And
Yep.
it's the whole buyer's remorse thing. Everybody has it, right?
Yep.
But what you've learned, and you can comment on this, is your guest will book, they'll still be on the platform, they'll see another property they like better, and they'll cancel. Have you had
Yeah.
that happen?
So I for sure, I've had plenty of people book, and then within an hour or 24 hours they cancel. And it depends on what your cancellation policy is. Bigger properties, it might be a little bit harder to do, but 1,000% people go on. They're saying, "Okay, I'm going to go to this location," and they find properties that they know they can cancel in 24, 48 hours, a month, whatever it's going to be, and they book a few, and then they decide which one they're going with and cancel the rest.
Yep. Yep.
So
So
this video locks it in.
and Bill has proven, and he has absolutely years of experience to show that his cancellation rates are dramatically lower than the industry average. And the welcome video is an absolute game changer when it comes to lowering cancellations. That's 2.
Yep.
Number 3, it earns you the right to fail, because
Right.
now I've sent you a video, Jeremy. When you get into the property and something's wrong, you're like, "These stinking managers are so lazy." Now it's, "Oh, let me call Scott. He's a buddy
Yep.
of mine now because he sent me this video and he's done
Yep.
this." Just comment on that for me.
No, I agree. I think it completely changes the, situation when a guest enters a home, right? They're entering now your home versus just entering a faceless large property management home that they know is probably just a number, right? And most people, when they check in still with Airbnb, because there are a lot of bad property managers out there and a lot of bad properties, walk in and are tiptoeing a little bit. Like,
Right.
what am I walking into?
Exactly.
And I know you just kind of had that because you were down there. So you booked an Airbnb.
That's going to be our next episode. We're going to review
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for sure. 100%.
Brilliant. Okay, so number
Yeah.
4, if you want a 5-star review as a host, shouldn't you deliver a 5-star experience from start to finish, not just like when they get to the property? That is point number 4 of why this welcome strategy is literally 4. There are 4 reasons why it's so powerful. It, I believe, immediately before they ever get there, greases the skids for a 5-star review.
Yep. Yeah. You're now, let me make sure your stay is going to be fantastic from when you booked. I'm not going to wait the month, 2 months, 6 months to start thinking about that. I'm thinking about you now.
And I've just said on video, in the example, you were my guest, I'm the host. I just said on my video that it's my responsibility to give you a 5-star experience. And now I'm on the hook for it. And
Yeah.
that I want you to do it because I just told you in the video, my goal is to give you a 5-star experience. And I think
Yeah.
it,
No,
it-
it's
I,
wonderful.
I'm a fan of like appealing to the heart of people, like the psychology behind earning the right to get a 5-star review. And I don't know of another strategy that's ever been created in hospitality and especially in short-term rentals like this one. And Bill, brilliant, like just absolutely brilliant. I love that strategy.
Yeah. At the personal touch, it makes a difference. I've had some experiences in the past where I've made a personal touch with a guest, and I still hear from them. I actually got a text yesterday from a guest who proposed at one of the properties that we recently
Nice.
we had launched a few years ago when we recently launched it. So I had called him after, and he still texts. Like, I get a few texts from him a year, be like, hey, by chance, is it open on this weekend? Unfortunately, for him, unfortunately, I'm always booked. But, you know,
That's
it's
a cool story.
still 2+ years later, 2.5+ years later, he's still
Cool
thinking
story.
of me, so.
All right, well, that's it for the Market My STR show this time around. We'll see you next video. Jeremy, we'll see you soon.
See you guys.